Good morning, Prairie UU. Good morning, light of the world. We are Prairie Unitarian Universalist Church. We are from Parker, Colorado, and we say welcome and join us. We are a liberal religious light on the prairie. I invite you this morning, you who revel in the silence, who celebrate the darkness, you who sit in stillness, who come with the heat and passion of fire, you who come with wonder-filled eyes of a child. I invite you to come into the stillness and celebrate with us. Welcome one and all from me to you. Welcome to Prairie UU.
Good morning, Prairie family, friends, and guests. Thank you for being with us on the first of our holiday season services. We're going to start off by singing a traditional hymn, O come, O come, O come, O come, Emmanuel. We sing this one every year around this time. This is the season of Advent in Christianity. This is the period of time before the Nativity when Christians are waiting for Christ to arrive. And a few things about this hymn. The original words in Latin date back over 1,000 years. Of course, our lyrics are recast for our UU beliefs. And the tune dates back probably 600 or 700 years. And what else? Oh, the Jewish name Emmanuel means God with us. So please join as you are willing and able in singing O come, Emmanuel. O come, Emmanuel. And with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as love to dwell. O come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to light. O come and turn all hearts to that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as truth to dwell. O come, you day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and dawn in every broken soul, as vision that can see the whole. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as light to dwell. Oh, come, you wisdom from on high, from depths that hide within a sigh, to temper knowledge with our care, to render every act a prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within Next, we're going to sing another hymn we only sing once a year. This is 221, Light One Candle, written by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary. He wrote this actually in response to the 1982 Lebanon War with Israel. And Hanukkah, of course, celebrates the lantern that lasted for 8 nights and days in a much more ancient war. Hanukkah doesn't start till December 10th. However, we're singing this now because our calendar is so full for this December that I'm not sure we'll be able to get to it at another time. So please join me as you're willing and able to sing Light One Candle.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that the light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. Light one candle to bring us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly? We keep it alive in the flame. What's the commitment of those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? Have we come this far always believing that justice would somehow prevail? This is the burden and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears.
Now, this is a wonderful way for us to start our service together and to take a breath. I invite everyone to find their breathing buddy. I've brought Teddy with me today. So go do that, even the littles, please. And as you come back, let's settle into our space. Find a comfortable way to sit. Cuddle with your breathing buddy. This is a meditation that I found provided by Reverend Samuel A. Trumbler. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of the breath. In and out. In and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath. Letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and the flow of life is enacted with each one. Taking in oxygen, sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide waste, taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings. In many traditions, It is believed that if you speak out loud your wish of goodwill, it will connect us to each other and gives our goodwill power. I invite you now to speak peace, love, and stillness into the world by speaking of those you hold in your hearts. We will send positive energy into the world. If you're joining us on Google Meet Live on Sunday morning, please unmute yourself in just a moment and offer a name or intention you hold. If you are joining us in other format or another time of the week, enter your intention in the comments so that as a collective, may we send out goodwill with you and for you. Our beloved community is not built on a creed, but on a covenant to live together in relationship. Our chalice is a symbol that we are connected with our larger Unitarian Universalist community. We light this flame as a symbol of our covenant to each other and the world around us, and as we recite our sacred promise. We covenant to be a welcoming and loving community, offering each other fellowship, sanctuary, and a joyful spirit. We seek justice and peace in all our deeds and relationships, and we respect and honor both the individual and the collective search for sacred meaning and truth. We revere and celebrate the diversity of our earth and are guided by the spirit that connects all life as we reach out to offer our best to ourselves, our community, and our world. May the goodwill that we have just offered up, held in our hearts, be a sign that we have come to a place to connect in a way that shares the words from our mouths, music in our hearts, and our very silent self as we sit together for the next few moments in silence.
Good morning, and welcome to Time for All Ages. This week, many UUs will be examining deeper the 7 principles as they celebrate Chalika. Our 7th principle asks us to be aware of our interconnectedness to the earth and all life. For people, that includes our connectedness to each other. Today's book is called I Am Human by Susan Verde, and it's about our connectedness and our responsibility to each other. Enjoy.
I Am Human, a book of empathy by Susan Verde, art by Peter H. Reynolds. I was born, a miracle, one of billions, but unique. I am human. I am always learning. I'm finding my way and choosing my path on this incredible journey. I have big dreams. I see possibility. I have a playful side. I find joy in friendships. I am human. But being human means I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I can hurt others with my words, my actions, and even my silence. I can also be hurt too. I have endless curiosity. I make discoveries. I have a feeling of wonder, and I am amazed by nature. It's so cool. I can be fearful of things that I don't yet understand. And I can be timid to try something new. That means a little scared. I have a heavy heart when I feel sadness. I am human. But then I remind myself that because I am human, I can make choices. I can move forward. A poor choice can become a better choice with thoughtfulness, when I think about it. And a bad day can become a great day with kindness. Let's be kind, everybody. I can choose not to fight, but instead to listen and find common ground with other people. I can say, I'm sorry, and I can ask for forgiveness. I can act with compassion and lend a helping hand. I can treat others with equality and be fair. I am human, one of billions, but unique. And I will keep trying to be the best version of me. I am full of hope. I am human. I am not alone. I am connected to my friends, to my family, to the world. We are all humans together. We are all human. How awesome is that? We're all the same. We're not defined by a color, a race, and ethnicity. We are all human. Get to know the humans around you. Respect the humans around you.
Now let's join together in singing our youth out. Go Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Welcome all of our first-time guests and visitors. Every day we offer ourselves as a liberal religious light on the prairie of the southeast Denver metro area. We open our spiritual home and our hearts to all people who thirst for authenticity and a connection with the mystery of life. We hope you feel welcomed and a sense of inclusion today as we engage our online service format. We want to acknowledge you who are joining us for the very first time, whether you are from Parker, Colorado, or from Castle Rock UU community, Just Living, Sober Living in Littleton, or Bridge House Ready to Work in Aurora, or anywhere else you are in the world. We thank you for being here with us today. Please let us know you're here by clicking on the welcome link in the chat, or going to www.prairieuu.org/welcome and signing our guest registry so that we can keep you connected with Prairie UU in the weeks and months to come. You are welcome here. When we meet in person, we would ask you to turn to your neighbor and wish them a warm welcome. Today, since we are not in person, I offer to you a virtual hug that comes with all the love and celebration of our Prairie UU community. Welcome. Hi, Prairie. Unfortunately, Pastor AJ isn't able to be with us today because of the death of his father. We wish him and his family peace in this challenging time. If Pastor AJ had been with us today, he planned to talk to you about why he thinks the seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, should be our first, most prominent principle. And because of the deep divisions and our profound lack of connection as a society to one another, to ourselves, and to the earth, I agree with him. And to illustrate, I want to open today with a story about my own dad. When I was about 14, I flew from my mom's house in Colorado Springs to stay part of the summer with my dad in New York. Staying with Dad was always a bit of a culinary adventure, since his cooking skills didn't extend much past heating up frozen foods in the toaster oven. We went out to eat a lot. And so this summer stay commenced in the usual way, with visits to Grammy and the family, the occasional arcade trip, leisurely walks at the park, and a fair few stops at local restaurants and cafes along the way. But soon after being seated at one of the first restaurants we stopped at, my usually animated, talkative dad, sometimes too animated in my teenage opinion, became strangely reserved. Accustomed as I was to his jokes and his running commentary on the food and the people, this sitting and eating our meals in relative silence felt very uncomfortable and very wrong. Had I said something to upset him? I said nothing about it until about the third time that it happened. I gathered up my courage and asked, "Dad, is something wrong? Are you mad? Why aren't you talking?" "People are giving me nasty looks," he said. And as I surveyed the other tables, I saw that he wasn't wrong. Not everyone was looking our way, but of the 2 or 3 parties that were, I registered looks of what? Anger? Contempt? Disgust? Why are they looking at you like that? Because I'm here with you. I was momentarily confused. We were, after all, the same two people, father and daughter, having lunch like we'd always done. And then suddenly his meaning hit me, and I could feel my cheeks flush. To many of these people who didn't know us, my father and I looked for all the world like a middle-aged black man out on a date with a very, very young white girl. I was old enough to know what they were assuming, and suddenly I felt sick. And I was angry at their assumptions about my father because he was black, and angry that their nasty thoughts had interfered with our time together, and that they had made a judgment about our right to be together based entirely on skin color. This was the last time that I would be oblivious to those types of assumptions. Now, I had long been aware of the differences between the way my white mother and I were treated and the way my black father moved through the world. But what hit me viscerally as an adolescent in this moment was that there existed people, and more than that, forces and ideas, alive in the world that wanted to separate me from my own father. And more than that, to separate me from who I was as a black biracial person, from my family, my ancestors, my culture, even my DNA. Because, friends, white supremacy in this country is at its heart a force that divides, disconnects. And for me, that often means trying to divide me down the middle, into two halves, and to keep me from integrating my black and white experiences. But I can only live into my wholeness when I find a way for my white heritage and experience, informed by the light skin privilege that often causes others to mistake me for white, and sometimes allows me access to white spaces. When I find a way for that to exist in harmony and to work in conjunction with my black ancestry, culture, and profound, bone-deep spiritual need for liberation. And friends, I would like to suggest that the same is true for you, and more specifically for us as Unitarian Universalists. I would like to name today that a lot of the grief that many of us are feeling this year over the loss of black lives, the environmental devastation of wildfires, the attacks on women's and LGBTQ rights, the loss of life from COVID-19 because of incompetent leadership, all amplified by social distance measures and physical separation. A lot of this grief is, at its heart, over the lack of real connection in our society and in our world. This lack of connection is not an accident. We live in a country that doesn't just thrive on disconnection. Its culture and its systems were built on disconnection in a process spanning several hundred years. When we talk about white supremacy or patriarchy or neoliberal capitalism, we aren't just talking about politics. We're talking about systems that were specifically built to keep us from the deep connection and the divinity that our theology tells us we all share with each other and with the natural world and with the divine. Our Black Unitarian ancestor, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, expressed this theology succinctly. She said, "We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, and society cannot trample on the weakest and feeblest of its members without receiving the curse in its own soul." Friends, we are so needed in a world that at this moment in time is in the throes of a dominant narrative that seeks to divide us. A binary that brooks no in-betweens, no deviations, no uniquenesses, that would separate us into male and female, gay and straight, black and white, would erase our complex identities for the purposes of concentrating power and resources in the hands of a few, while justifying the needless suffering of the rest by labeling them as not enough. This is an illusion. We know that we are all interconnected. Interconnection is the reality. We are right now each connected in an interdependent web of existence that does not allow for separation. And so the truth we offer the world as Unitarian Universalists is that we are already bound up as one. We are, all of us, already part of one another. This is spiritual and physical reality. Whether it's our Universalist theology that insists on our common destiny in this lifetime, or a 20th century understanding of quantum physics wherein we are all literally physically entangled with one another at the most basic subatomic level. In The Oversoul, Ralph Waldo Emerson speaks of something beyond the senses. The influence of the senses has, he says, in most men overpowered the mind to the degree that the walls of time and space have come to look real and insurmountable. And to speak with levity of these limits is, in the world, the sign of insanity. Yet, he says, time and space are but inverse measures of the force of the soul. And so the pain we find in the present circumstances is that so many can't or won't see the sacred bonds of love and existence that link us. We've bought into the specific lies of our time that reinforce the notions that name our individual expressions of the divine, our uniquenesses, as separateness. And it is our lot as Unitarian Universalists to sit with this very real pain and to honor it. But the hope of our faith lies in that the boundaries that are supposedly dividing us, they are the illusion. Beloveds, I tell you today that we are so needed in the world because our hearts are breaking. Because we know that we can be, and we are so much more together. And our Unitarian Universalist faith gives us the template for recognizing, realizing, and repairing those bonds. In our theology of covenant, we know that we will not always be perfect together. We will not always live into our common divinity. And covenant is necessary because we screw up again and again and find our way back to one another. Because a state in which we recognize each other as expressions of the divine is our natural state. Friends, in discussing the forces of division we face, I've often heard it said that Unitarian Universalism doesn't have a theology of liberation. That's not true. Our Unitarian Universalist ancestors have preached liberation from the start. Our Universalist ancestors rejected the false binaries in their rejection of eternal damnation. In their embracing of the fact that all souls are sacred and worthy and loved by God, they put paid to the idea that some should have absolute power and privilege over others. It's time for us to live into this theology in our communities and in our congregations. And as we gratefully move into a new administration in the new year, we need more than ever to be leaning into connection with the marginalized voices in our community. Those divine voices whose divinity has so long been denied and denied expression. To hold this new administration accountable to us. We want children out of cages on January 21st. We want police reform. We want adequate food and housing and education and health care for all. I believe that fundamentally it is our connections that define who we are as individuals and who we are as a faith. So, during this first week in our monthly theme of stillness, a week in which many UUs celebrate Chalaka by taking one day of the week to meditate on each principle, I want to invite you to meditate on how you would order the principles. What do we as a congregation need to do to make them real in this deeply disconnected world? In this season of Advent, of waiting, of expecting, of lighting candles, and of passing on that flame so that it gives warmth not to just one, but to all. If you're anxious or scared at the sheer amount of work we need to do in the world, you're not alone. If you're uncertain about what to do next, where to find your hope, lean into the connections with your community, with our shared divinity. Guided by those marginalized voices that most speak to our collective wholeness, and surrounded in the love that upholds us, take a breath and do the next right thing. Thank you.
Now, as you are willing and able, let us sing together hymn 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the faith that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Part of being in this community is sharing our resources, our time, talent, and treasure. Prairie UU is not an institution, it is a community of people. We come together in love and support of each other. We need to be taken care of in a variety of ways. One of the teams that does that is our Committee on Shared Ministry. This Committee on Shared Ministry works closely with Pastor AJ to help set vision and mission of the congregation, strengthen our covenant, and provide feedback on the health and ministry of the church. If you have feedback or want to reach out to the Committee on Shared Ministry, you can email them at cosm@prairieuu.org. Another group to highlight, of course, is our Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees is elected by the congregation, and it manages the business of the congregation, sets policies and standards, and stewards the congregation's finances. If you would like to contact the board, you can do so at board@prairieuu.org. And of course, I want to call out the staff for handling all the day-to-day operations. We appreciate you. I also want to highlight the UU Front Range BIPOC Fund. We would like to thank you for giving to that over the time, the Colorado Unitarian Universalist Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Fund. The fund is established to provide services and programming for our UU BIPOC community members and their families. If you are interested in participating or learning more about the fund or how you can get more involved in supporting our UU BIPOC community, please contact Pastor AJ. We invite you to be a happy giver to Prairie UU. While we cannot pass the plate in person, we still need your continued support as we continue to build our beloved community. I'd like to thank you for offering to our community and know that we know it is generously given and certainly gratefully received.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Good morning, Prairie beloved community and friends. I'm Melissa Bishop. I'm the co-chair of the Justice League, and I'm here to talk to you this morning about our Prairie tradition of adopting a family in need in our community. This year, Prairie is adopting a family of 7 that has very close ties to our Prairie community. So we feel a special connection to them. The family wants to remain anonymous, but we want to assure that they have a wonderful and blessed holiday. Like most of us, they have found the pandemic to be a challenge. But for them, it's been a special challenge as it's really highlighted economic disparities that this family is facing. The family has 2 adults, one who had to quit her job in order to help her children with remote learning, which we also know is a big challenge. And then recently, the other parent lost his job, was laid off as a result of the pandemic. So we're really feeling for them and their family. They also have some adorable children, of course, adorable and brilliant children. So there's a 1-year-old little girl. There are 2 7-year-olds, a boy and a girl, and 2 13-year-olds, a boy and a girl also. The family is primarily asking for clothes, warm clothes, bedding, and then a small gift, something else for each one of the children. We've created a sign up for you to be able to help us out with a donation. You can buy a gift and wrap it and drop it off at our open space, which is on Ponderosa Drive here in Parker. We'll be having a collection early in the morning, 7:30 to 9 before the service, next Sunday, December 13th. If you would prefer, you can contact Kim Murray or myself in order to arrange a pickup. We're happy to come to your house to pick up a gift, or conversely, you can drop one off at our house. I live here in Parker and Kim lives in Aurora, so that works pretty well also for these kinds of activities. If you're not able to shop and buy a gift for the family, fear not. If you would like to donate money and have us do the shopping, we're happy to do that as well. We hope that you will give generously to assure that this family of Prairies is really taken care of this holiday season. Thank you so much for all that you do.
as we prepare to leave this sacred space, in the spirit that they take us forward, reminding us that our service does not end here, but continues to live in our hearts, may we go forward with these words from Mark L. Bellatini. Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves.
Act justly, speak justly.
Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness.
Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance.
Speak the truth, or speak not.
Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift.
Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go, with the dream of that peace alive in your heart.
Amen. Amin. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. And blessed be.